Are there any winners in divorce? That is one of the questions that I asked at the barbershop the other day when I took my camera to the barbershop. Hi, I'm JR and welcome to 2.0. If you're just turning into this channel, this is the platform where I talk about the impact of divorce on men. First of all, before we go any further, I'd like to give a special shout out to Turning Heads Barbershop right here in Bridgeport, Connecticut. So if you are in Bridgeport, Connecticut, make sure you check them out and talk to my man Carl over there. He's my barber, my personal barber. He's been, setting me straight for the past 15 years. So last week I had the opportunity to go there and I took my camera with me and we had a great conversation. So one of the questions that we were discussing was, are there any winners and divorce? Because when it comes to divorce, right, it's almost like you have two sides that are going at it, going at each other. Everybody has their lawyers and it's all about, battling and negotiating. So at times you may think that there is a winner, or you may feel like there is a winner, but from their perspective, I wanted to know what their thoughts was when it comes to, is there a winner and divorce? Let's go to the videos and find out.
So let me ask you this: Do you think there are any winners in divorce?
No, there ain't no winners.
Yeah,
No.
there is.
The state winning.
The state wins.
Not even just that. The winner is the person that took the lesson from it, and realized, because at the end of the day, we all gonna learn. You feel me? And if you don't know the person, you can't be mad at what happens down the line. You feel me? Because you jumped into it not knowing what it was. You feel me? So if you got married with somebody and you ain't know what they was 100%, that's your fault at the end of the day. You can't be mad because she ended up changing up down the line, but she didn't change up. That was just what she was. She just never showed you that part.
Initially, when I thought about that question, whether or not there's a winner in divorce, you hear the other guy says the state win. But I've asked this question before, and some of the answers I've gotten was, hey, the divorce attorneys are the one who are winning. And you know what? There is some truth to that, because whether you like it or not, or however you think of it, there's actually no winners, right? Especially if there are kids involved. But I like the way he answered it. He says, you know what? It's about the lesson. It's about what you're learning through the process. His take on it is very interesting because it's not something that I thought about before. Initially, I was thinking about the lawyers as well, because they're the one who's winning, right? Because they're the one who's making money out of the situation. Whether you like it or not, there's no winners. There's no winner from the woman's side or winners from the men's side. However you look at it, we are both going through some significant changes in our lives. The same thing for the kids, especially if there are kids involved. They are caught up in the middle of this. So actually, at the end of the day, there are no winners. It doesn't matter what you end up with financially, or with as far as properties are concerned, or as far as financial contributions are concerned. It really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you have a family that's falling apart. You have kids that are getting torn into two different houses. It's not a winning situation. Now, the next question I asked was, from an emotional standpoint, how do you think, or how do you feel that divorce impacts the men? And their answers will surprise you. Let's go to the video and check it out.
Yeah, the financial part of it. That's what's going to impact us more. Because
I don't think so.
You know what?
It'll impact me.
I think
finance plays so many different roles, bro.
Yeah, it does.
Because, bro, if there's a child or children in that previous relationship, that is still your responsibility.
Right.
Now there's no support anymore. You gotta support yourself, and then your other. So now, what is your job like? What is your mindset like? How are you still performing? If you're a business owner, how's the business now because of all these things?
You're talking about.
So one of the emotional impact that they feel is the financial burden that is placed on the man after the divorce. Now, what they're explaining is, mentally, it is going to take a toll on you, because now you have to worry about providing for almost two households, right? So you have to provide for yourself personally, where are you going to be? And you also have to make sure that your kids are okay. A lot of us, after the divorce, we have to get right back to work. We have to carry on as business as usual, because we cannot afford to miss a beat, because we have people who are counting on us. Even though they are no longer associated with us physically in the same household, but we still have our responsibility. Again, we have to provide for them. You have to make sure your kids are okay. You have to figure out how you're going to spend time with the kids. You have to figure out how you're going to meet the financial contribution that is, that is placed on you. So you don't really have time to contemplate anything. We don't really have time to think about all of the emotional aspects that we are going through because we have financial responsibilities that we have to meet. So we have to hit the ground running. But it's not to say at some point in our life, it's not going to hit us. It will at some point. We will feel it. All right, let's go back to the video and see what they say.
Yeah, like post-divorce, like you're not having a wife, the mom is not there no more.
Yeah.
You got to figure out how to spend time with kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that's more better. That's more worse than.
Nah, but you gotta think about it just like if
All
you
that take
broke-
money.
But if you broke, you gonna be even more
All that take money,
stressed
bro.
out.
Why
All
did
that
you
take
do
do
nothing?
nothing. Now
All that take
they're
money.
turning off the lights on you and shit.
All that
like
take
that.
money. All that takes money.
And
All of
then
it.
now you gotta
So
get an
again,
apartment
that
for
goes,
something
that
that's
goes,
700.
that goes to the point I was making earlier, right? Like some people resort to drinking or drugs or whatever. Because think about it, if you're coming from this, huge house, big family, and now because of the financial responsibilities, you can't afford a place to live. Now imagine you have to call mom and say, hey, can I move back in the basement? You know what I'm saying? So as a man,
That's why I said the
mentally-
finances.
Yeah, mentally, it's
Just
gonna
imagine
do something to
the
you,
time
you know?
and the money that you invested into that
Yeah, that's what you're
relationship.
gonna think about.
And then now it's all over. It's done. And then now the court make you obligated to pay child support, to pay alimony,
So you say-
to pay.
So you
bro,
say
how-
if you have money to pay all that, you would
Not
deal with it
saying
better.
no, not saying
No,
better.
not saying that.
But it'll make it a little better.
It'll make it a little bit
It
better.
won't be as harsh as if you dead broke. Like
So I don't think having a lot of money actually reduces the emotional impact that it has on men. To their point, yes, it makes it a little better because you have enough money to meet the financial responsibilities that are placed on you, right? Because as the other guy said, if you're broke, now you're going to be more stressed out because you have all these responsibilities you have to meet and you don't have the money, you don't have a job, you can't come up with these things. There are countless of stories where, guys have gotten arrested and they're put in jail because they haven't paid child support. That's what they were talking about. If you don't have the money to meet the financial responsibilities that are placed on you, that's going to impact your mental state. You're going to feel like you are inadequate. You cannot take care of your family. You cannot take care of your kids. You can't provide for them. So of course, it's going to have an impact on you. So yes, if you do have the money, it's going to be a little easier for you. But at the same time, the impact, you're still going to feel it. It's still going to be there. Let's go back to the video and see.
you don't have nothing. You don't have.
Just
nothing.
imagine you going through a divorce and she clean you out.
Fuck having a divorce. Just think about you being 40 years old and thinking like, damn,
You
I don't
gotta
got
move
nothing.
back. You
got-
gotta
yeah, you
move
gotta
back
start
in with
from
your
zero.
mother. You gotta start back from square one all over again. That affects you spending time with the kid. That affects a whole lot of other things.
You know,
It
when your money
does.
low,
It does, bro.
You act
Think about
different.
that.
Like,
Think about that. Think about that. Think about that for a second.
Yeah, it's a lot.
No, any man that has to move back in with their parents after, especially like let's say me, I haven't lived with my mother since I was 17 years old. So if me and my girl was to get married right now and get divorced, and I gotta go back and move in with my man, what that would what?
That would destroy you, yeah, mentally.
Having to move back with your mom in your 40s, that would destroy just about any man I know. Any man. But guess what? That is not to say if you find yourself in that situation for you to give up. Don't give up. It will get better. Understand what they're saying. At 40 years old, after you've invested so much in that relationship, after you've been providing so much for the family, and now you find yourself in a situation where you cannot afford to pay the child support, to pay the alimony that is placed on you, and on top of that, maintaining a place for yourself and your own bills, right? Because maybe you still have a car note. Maybe you still got to come up with rent. You still got to come up with groceries. You still got to come up with gas money. You still got to come up with, money to go back and forth to work. So you still have a lot of responsibilities on your back. and you're not able to meet those responsibilities, now you have to call mom and ask mom if you can move back in the basement. Think about what it will do to a man. Just like he was explaining, he hasn't lived with his mother since he was 17 years old. When you left your parents' house, you became a man. You became an adult. You became the head of your own household. So you got this. You're doing this on your own, right? So now having to pack your bags to go back to mom's, that signifies failure. That signifies you are not good enough. That signifies that you are not strong enough to make it. You may start feeling inadequate. And that is what will lead you into depression. That is what will lead you into drinking, because you're trying to deal with the shame and the guilt and the pain from having to move back to your mom's house after, X amount of years of marriage. That, my friend, will be tough on a man. If you do find yourself in a situation right now where you have to move in with your mom, I just want to let you know it's okay. Just hold your head high. It's okay. You're going to climb out of it. You're going to get out of it. This is not the end of it. Just hang in there.
Yeah, you know what they say. Cheaper the keeper.
And guess what? I hate that cliche. You know why I hate that cliche? You know why I hate that? Because she could be toxic as hell.
Of course. Yeah.
But it's cheaper to keep her. You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
I hate that cliche.
So like
It's cheaper to keep her. That is something I've been hearing for a long time now. It is cheaper to keep her. I understand where they're coming from, right? Especially from a man's standpoint, when a divorce happened, I don't know what the percentage is. Most of the time, the man is the one who ends up getting his finances split in half, his properties split in half, and then half goes to the woman. So now he's sitting there thinking about, okay, so do I really want to walk out of this marriage? Do I really want to go down this path of getting a divorce when I know half of my stuff is going to be gone? I'm not going to be able to see my kids 100% of the time anymore. I'm going to be transitioning from a full-time father to maybe every other weekend, or if he's really an active dad, he'll want to have 50-50 custody. But he's thinking about all these things that are happening, and then he's like, you know what? Maybe it is cheaper to keep her because I won't have to spend X amount of money on lawyer fees, right? Depending on where you guys stand financially, the man may have to pay for the wife's attorney as well, on top of his attorney's fees. So it's a lot to worry about. So that is why they're talking about it is cheaper to keep her. But the other guy also has a good point, because sometimes it could be a toxic relationship, right? You could be dealing with a toxic person. So do you really say it's cheaper to keep her and then just keep dealing in the toxic environment? Or do you go your own way? Let's go back to the video and see what else they had to say.
actually, that triggers another question, right? So, because a lot of times when you talk about divorce, and women would be like, well, even though the man is unhappy, they never want to file, they never want to leave.
Yeah.
So, why do you think that is? Why do you think men?
Because we are the only
refuse to
ones
leave?
capable of loving truly.
Going over to
Unconditional.
I think
unconditionally.
and I agree with that. I agree with that.
I've heard it time and time again. Men are the only creature who can love unconditionally. That is why most of the time the man will not file for divorce. Even though he's unhappy, he will not file for divorce because he still loves his family. He loves his wife. He loves his kids. He wants to stay and restore his family, restore the relationship, and save the relationship. He's doing everything that he can to stay in the relationship, just to make sure that he keeps the family unit together, because he understands the importance of having a father figure in the house. He understands the importance of having a man in the house. So that's one of the reasons why he will not make the first move to file, because he doesn't want to break the family apart. He doesn't want to pull it apart. He wants to keep the family unit together. So he's not going to be the one to file for divorce. Let's go back to the video and see what else they have to say.
When a woman fed up, she fed up.
Bro,
It don't
the
even matter.
decision
Black,
was made
white,
3
red,
years ago.
pink. It don't matter.
Group chat knows about it.
Huh?
Bestie know about it. Her mama
That's
knows
another
she
thing.
did.
Everybody knows
And
except
then
you.
one day when you thinking, I know
Everybody
shit,
knows
why
except you.
excited.
And then
When a woman don't want you no
What?
more, everybody knows except you. Everybody knows except you.
Tuesday was beautiful.
Right.
we had dinner.
We had
Your
dinner,
mom was
everything.
over. She knew.
Tuesday
Ah,
was
come on.
Talk that
Wednesday,
shit.
that's when all hell
Talk
broke
that
loose.
shit. Yep. There you go. There you go.
What happened from
Now, let me
Tuesday to
ask you
Wednesday?
Exactly. That's why it been there, cause it been there. It been there.
So
It
what
been
Tuesday was beautiful. We had dinner. This is amazing. So they're talking about how when the woman decides they're going to leave you, when the woman is fed up, she's fed up, right? So it's a decision that's been years in the making, right? So it wasn't really when she finally pulled the plug that the decision was made. The decision was made long before that. And that's what they're expressing right now, because it's like everybody else knows. All their friends know, the group chat knows about it, her mother knows about it. Everybody else knows she's gonna leave you or she's gonna divorce you, and you're like the last one to find out. And that's basically what they're saying. He said, you know, the mother was at the house for dinner the other day, and then we were having a good time, and the man is thinking everything is good, everything is solid, but yet there's a plan to throw him out the next day. He's the only one who's unaware of that situation. So I mean, listen, if the relationship is troublesome, if there's been issues, I'm sure there's a hint somehow, things are not, 100%. Maybe you don't think that it's going to lead to divorce. Maybe you don't think it's going to lead to an actual separation. You think, that, hey, we're going through some hard times right now. And you're thinking in the back of your mind, we're going to do what's required, to make it work. But you know what? She's thinking of something completely different than what you're thinking of. That's pretty much what happens. And they feel like they got blindsided by all of that's happening. So it's important for us to have that line of communication, right? To talk about this. So we talk about betrayal. To me, I think that's betrayal as well, right? Because you've been planning this escape. You've been planning this exit for years, right? And then the man never knows about it. He didn't know anything about it, and he just got blindsided at the last minute. Look, at the end of the day, relationship is hard. Marriage is hard. It requires hard work. It requires dedication. It requires communication. It requires sacrifices on both sides, on the man's side and the woman's side. As I said before in the past, I'm not a supporter of divorce. I don't believe in divorce. But unfortunately, I understand there are situations where divorce is necessary and it has to happen. So in those cases, when it happens, I understand. And to the men who are going through these situations right now, I just want to let you know that you are not alone. You may feel alone right now, but you are not alone. I encourage you to find a friend. I encourage you to find someone to talk to. Find a therapist or find a pastor friend or find a friend that you can talk to. If you don't have a friend, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to have a conversation with you. I'll be more than happy to spend time in prayer with you. Because I know what it's like. I know what it's like because I've been there. And especially if you're struggling financially because of the divorce, because of what you had to go through. And especially if you are ending up having to go back to your parents' house. And one of the other impacts that we don't talk about is isolation. Isolation is big and it's huge because of the fact that you are coming from this big family. Let's say, for example, you had 2 kids or 3 kids and it was a family of 5. Now you are being removed from the house. You have to find an apartment somewhere. You have to find a basement somewhere. You have to find a room somewhere. Now you are in the room all by yourself, right? You're no longer interacting with all the kids or with your wife. Now you're all by yourself in that room. Now you are left alone with your thoughts. That can drive a man crazy. And if you find yourself in that situation today, I just want to let you know it's okay. It's okay to feel what you're feeling right now. It's okay to go through what you're going through right now. But I guarantee you, you're going to come out of it. I guarantee you, if you don't give up, you're going to come out of it. Well, as always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to share this video on your social media platform and send it to a friend. Send it to someone who needs it. And always remind yourself, you got this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.